Hello everyone, and welcome to the Pitskill.io Porsche Cup, sponsored by SimQuips. I'm your host Roy Weller, and tonight we're in Italy at Misano. Everyone's first answer when asked to name an Italian track that isn't Monza or Imola. And we're here for round 3 of the championship. And while our drivers get themselves warmed up to start this 15-minute qualifying session, we've got some time to take a look at our current championship standings, where Rhys Tattersall is back in his usual spot at the top of the standings on 180 points. Actually, apologies, this is actually, correct myself, round 4. Of course, our the second round out in Spa did not count towards the points, as Rhys Tattersall leading the way with Johan Leff very, very close behind with 176 points, and with only Tattersall present tonight. We may see, we will see that gap open up back to left, but John Sawyer not too far behind either. Still plenty to play for, and let us not forget, each driver does have 2 drop rounds in this series, so can afford to not be present for a couple of the rounds. And as our drivers finish up their outlaps, it will be Matthew Parry, first of the drivers, to start his hot lap. And looking like track conditions are going to be staying good for this qualifying session. Have got the possibility of rain later on, but right now very sunny, quite hot track conditions. But nothing much to faze these drivers, who are starting their exploratory laps of this Misano circuit, as Martin Steinbach off the circuit. I think this is on his outlap, so it won't be too impactful. As Steinbach rounds the final corner to start his first flying lap of the session. As we get a good onboard look, take us through the first sector. It's a track with a lot of camber and a lot of liberal use of those inside curbs. You see all our drivers just ramping up the pace, and I think Kenny Crows will want to find himself a bit more room, as he's got some traffic ahead of him. That is the 126 of Von Retberg ahead. But we'll be getting a nice tow down the long back curving. Whoa, as Kenny Crows disappears off the circuit there, as camera pans away from him, but Kenny Crows taking a very rapid trip across the runoff. Welcome, Terry. Good to have the head honcho in the chat. Everyone be nice to Terry. As Martin is taking to the final sector. I believe Martin is on a valid lap at the moment. And it could be quite confusing tonight. Plenty of cars with that stock livery. But not this man, Chris Wright, in that distinctive SimQuips livery. Our title sponsor for this series. Very generously donating absolutely nothing to the running and broadcast of this series. And it's been a little bit of a disappointing season for Wright so far. Currently sitting down in P14. And we'll be looking to try and, try and improve as the camera cuts away from what looked like it was going to be quite the slide there for Wright. As I'm not going to trust the auto cam anymore. It's moving us away from what is looking like the most fun parts of the driving. Let's see what did happen to Wright. Oh, and there he goes. Keeps nicely out of the way, but well, if you needed proof that these cars can be a little bit of a handful, I was right, going very, very sideways. And so far, the times being led by Matthew Parry on a 1:36.120. He's fastest in first two sectors. As, whoa, Parry disappears off the circuit and Reese Tattersall retakes top of the standing. This is a usual place we see him in. And was looking to further improve that time on this lap. Reese slowly picking up the pace. You can see using every millimetre of the track. So expect to be seeing some good times out of Tattersall by the end of the session. As Roland Schricker in that grey and white car comes around the final few corners of the final sector. Just two more corners to navigate. And it's looking like this will be a good improvement for Schricker. Currently 1 second off of the overall pace. We'll be looking to close down that gap. Although a snap of oversteer at the final corner will let him know that he's got a little bit more in hand if he can keep it tidy for the entirety of a lap. 1:36.575, a solid effort with 5.5 minutes remaining of the session. As we've got drivers down on the lower end of the field finding some more pace, with Florent de Moore currently on a 1:39.6. In that distinctive red and black livery. Not troubling the apex of the previous corner. With this, the camber of these corners so impactful in the lap time. You really want to get yourself into those apexes, as Florent de Moore again running very wide off the apex of the final corner. Plenty of time for him to find that, and I think maybe just not having much practice in this car at this circuit is not finding the pace right now. But one man who is finding plenty of pace out there is Reese Tattersall. We fly around the final sector of the track. Let's see how much Reese is throwing it into these apexes. Finding plenty of time as he does it. Final corner to navigate now. Good exit. A little bit of a twitch on the exit there. Could have cost him a tiny bit of time, but that is a 1:35.6 for Tattersall. Very, very solid lap time. As we got Andy Hudson looking to improve as he comes around the final corner to cross the line. Get himself down into the low 136s. We're 136.485. And that very distinctive Pisswasser livery. And Andy keep lifting himself up the standings in P5 at the moment. Just over a tenth off of Balazs Feher ahead, who's not on an improving lap at the moment. One man who is improving is Robert Weibeck. Just got one corner left to navigate. Could find a whole heap of time here. As he gets on the power down to the start-finish line. So he crosses the line, improves by 0.8 of a second, up to a 136.5. That puts Weibeck up into P7. He'll be pleased with that lap. And we'll head off in the search of even more improvement. Let's check in with the man in P3 in the championship standings at the moment. John Sawyer not finding his feet at this circuit, currently down in P11. And if he wants to keep his championship alive, he's going to want to find a little bit more pace out there. Of course, I'll remind everyone again, there are 2 drop rounds for this series, so it is allowable for a driver to have a little bit of an off race, and this might just be the one for John Sawyer. So making sure he's maximising every millimetre of the track. They're just running wide of the apex. And so finding some pace, gradually improving. This will not be Sawyer's last lap if he keeps up this pace. It should get one more lap in after this, just to put all of that practice during the session into effect. As Reese Tattersall still top of the timings at the moment on that 1:35.6. As Porsche Cup regular Marco Lorenzon currently sitting down in P18. Has worked his way up to, I believe that must be an A-class driver now in the Pitskill. So worth pointing out to everyone who's not familiar with our pit rep and Pitskill system. The badges of those drivers will show you their pit rep, which is their safety rating. So all of those with the white tag there will be our A and S class drivers, with the B's and the C's as silver, and our rookies in red. And then the number there, as anyone familiar with iRacing will know, the lower the number, the higher up the order we expect you to finish. As Nathan Smith-Adams finding late bit of pace in this qualifying session, currently got himself up into 5th and going strong on this, what will be his final lap as the clock has hit 0. losing a bit of time as he comes around the final few corners, and this will not be an improvement for Smith Adams, so we'll have to make do with 5th position as we have just one more driver looking to improve, and that is Jack Sloan, currently sitting down in P26 on a 139.1. And Sloan, big snap of oversteer there, but I think he's had that every single lap as finding time down that start-finish straight. And there we have it. Ooh. Our order is set for tonight's race with Reese Tattersall on pole position. And as they line up on the grid, just gives us time to run through our starting order for tonight's race. We will have Reese Tattersall on pole position, followed by Robert Weidbeck, Matthew Parry in P3, with Roland Schricker, P4. In P5 is Nathan Smith Adams, currently sitting in P9 in the overall standings, with Balazs Feher in 6th. Balazs currently sitting at P4 in the championship. In the pink BWT liveried car. In P7 is the Pitswasser livery of Andy Hudson. This is Andy's first race in season 19 of the Pitskill Porsche Cup, sponsored by SimQuips. There's a frequent contender in last season. In P8 is Busso, appropriately sometimes nicknamed the Bulldozer, where I hope we won't see that side of Busso tonight. And P9 is Kenny Crows. P10 is Chris Wright, and next to him will be John Sawyer. Matthias Peltzer is in P12. Alongside him will be Tadeusz Szynski. In P14 is Tyler Wegner with Martin Steinbeck. P15, Steve Goosens in that ever-common police car livery is in P16. And in P17 is Tim von Rutberg. P18 is Marco Lorenzon with Bjorn King in 19th. P20 Jack Sloan. We have Eric Polterak in P21. 22 is Florent de Moore. Nitros in P23. 24 is Gregor Michalak. Bob de Eitz is in P25. Riva Molinar is in P26. With Dave Van Eck in P27. William Bell will start P28 with Martin in P29. Both of those running the stock livery, so will be a challenge telling them apart. In P30 is Chris van der Heck with Pascal Schwartz in P30. And rounding out our grid for tonight's race will be Nicholas Orphanus with a 32 car grid for tonight's race. It is going to be an interesting run into the first couple of turns here at Misano as the track does start to twist and turn. We've just got a few short kilometres for our drivers to get themselves some heat into those tyres and brakes. Give themselves the best possible chance once the lights go green. As we can see, Balazs Feher here squirming his way around in the background, trying to get some heat into those rear tyres. Very easy to spin up the rears here in these Porsche Cups. The zero traction control that they have. makes it easy to get the heat into the tyres on this formation lap, but also makes it very easy to spin those wheels up as you come out of the corners. And with how twisty and technical this Misano circuit is, drivers going to have to be very careful on these opening laps. And with just 2 corners to go, it will be Reese Tattersall who will lead the way as the grid forms up 2 by 2 behind our leader. And it will be a Robert Weidbeck who will be challenging him down the outside into the first corner. That outside line very quickly turning into the inside for turn 2. Robert Weidbeck just needs to keep himself alongside to have a decent chance of leading this race as they head through the first sector. So we wait for the green flag. And we are racing in Misano. Reese Tattersall's got a brilliant start. He's got clean air behind him to Weidbeck, who's under pressure from Parry. As they come through the first sector, everyone keeping it neat and tidy so far. We look off into the background. A few changes of position. But it's still our front 4 in the same order. And down in the order, Tadeusz Szynski has got, I believe that's Peltzer. Has just got back up past Peltzer, who's not giving this one up. But you see Chris Wright there looking around the outside of Matthias Peltzer. As they come onto the long curving back straight here at Misano, side by side. And it is Tadeusz Szynski ahead of Peltzer, Wright and Wegner. The trailing pale blue cars who will struggle to tell apart. Looks like Tyler Wegner looking up the inside of Chris Wright and moves himself up into P12 in this race. Chris Wright dropping back just ever so slightly. And now Wegner, eyes set firmly forward on Matthias Peltzer up ahead. And Wegner's closed up quite considerably onto the back of Peltzer, as Kenny Kroes finds himself under pressure from Busso. Kroes moves across to defend it, but it is Busso with the inside line. As we come through the sweeping left-hander, Busso up into P8. Gets himself ahead of Kroes. And now Tadeusz Szynski and the green Rexy catching quickly. And looks like we've got battling up ahead between Roland Stricker and Robert Weidbeck. Stricker up into P3. Weidbeck lost a couple of positions there from the start to Parry and now to Stricker. Running down in P4 and has now got Smith Adams for company. Smith Adams looks to the outside of Weidbeck. It does look like in these race conditions with fuel on board, Robert Weidbeck struggling a little with the rear, it seems. That rear end of that car snapping around ever so slightly is giving Smith Adams the slightly better traction out of the corners. And he will be looking for an opportunity to make a move. You can see just how much of the track Smith Adams is using behind. Weidbeck either not feeling comfortable using all of those curbs or just not wanting to take the risk at this point in the race. And behind this battle we have got Andy Hudson leading Balazs Feher. This is the battle for P6 in this race. Andy Hudson did well to qualify high up the order, but has now got serious pressure from Balazs, who's tucked right into that slipstream as we start lap 4 of this race. Yellow flags out for the 132 car of Schwartz in the second sector. Looks like he's just lost it, heading out onto the back straight. But plenty of space between our leaders and the middle sector for him to get going again. As Matthias Peltzer has made his way up past Tadeusz Kaczynski, and now Wegner behind looking for a way past, as all three of them battling behind. Chris Wright up the inside, might make 2 positions here on the inside of Tadeusz Kaczynski. And Wegner looking for a way past as well. Will he be able to sweep around the outside of the green dinosaur? Oh, a little bit of a snap there for Wegner. Means Suzuki might have the better traction as we head down the long curving back straight here at Misano. Side by side they remain into the braking zone, both spotting their braking points well, but it is Suzuki who remains ahead. As John Sawyer battling with Von Retberg behind. And Suzuki holds on to the position for now, as up ahead of them, Matthias Peltzer has got his mirrors full of Chris Wright. As it is Peltzer who's leading this group. We've got battling behind between Von Retberg and Lorenzon. I wonder if Von Retberg having a little bit of a moment there. Was battling with John Sawyer before, but has dropped back. Lorenzon up into P15 as Von Retberg tries to find a way past. Not going to be going around the outside there as those sausage curbs. Quite brutal. And as Andy Hudson continues to be the cork in the bottle. Let's see the pack of cars following behind with Busso, Feher and Kroos all following through this sweeping section of the track. Flat out through these curves and heavy on the brakes. As Busso gets as close as is comfortable. And Busso getting slightly tighter to the apex, but not able to get the drive out the corner. Hudson remaining ahead for now. And it's the car ahead of Hudson. Nathan Smith-Adams, who holds the fastest lap of this race. That lap a 1:36.2, some 1.5 tenths faster than our race leader. Though Rhys Tattersall has managed to pull quite a gap, currently 3.5 seconds ahead of our P2 driver of Matthew Parry. As Busso looks up the inside of Andy Hudson, they go through the corner side by side. And Busso, with the better drive out the corner, gets ahead up into P6. And Balazs Fay here also looking to take advantage. Up the inside of Andy Hudson. And Kenny Kroos with the front seat view of this battle. They all battle side by side through this section of the track. Kenny Kroos just going to be sitting waiting for an opportunity to get through. Will Kenny Kroos look up the inside of Andy Hudson? They all fly through the apex of the first corner. Kenny Kroos right tucked up under that rear wing of Andy Hudson. Hudson, who over the past few laps has dropped 2 positions. Now down in P8. And under serious pressure from Kenny Kroos. As Kroos throws it round the outside, carries, well, too much speed. That is too much speed. And now finding himself being caught by the battle behind between Peltzer and Wright. It's the battle of the quips. SimQuips versus SimQuips. As behind Tyler Wegner and Tadeusz Szynski battle, looks like Wegner has made his way past Szynski. And that's a good move there by Wegner, gets himself up into P12, committed on the brakes. As down in P15, Bjorn King is leading Steinbeck, Sloan and von Retberg. You can see the cars behind spread out down this long back straight. They're coming to the braking zone. Whoa, Steinbeck getting awfully close to the diffuser of King. Szynski has made his way back past Wegner. And this battle will continue. On to the back. Oh, there's contact. But Szynski looks like he might stay ahead for now, although Wegner with the inside. And Wegner carrying the speed through, gets back up into P12. These two switching positions multiple times a lap at the moment. As von Retberg has made his way past Sloan. Oh, Sloan running wide allows von Retberg to come through. That double right-hander, allowing von Retberg to sweep through on the inside. Szynski losing multiple positions there off the circuit. Not sure, quite sure exactly what happened there, because you can see John Sawyer well up the road. So incident there for Szynski. Oh, as we've got a number of drivers caught up in an incident now. King and now Nitro. What has happened there? Bjorn King rejoining the circuit. Oh, and Von Retbo trying to thread the needle, and there's contact, and King is around. Oh, that is unfortunate. It's up in P2. Matthew Parry has got Schricker, and not far behind Weidbeck for company. This battle 4 seconds behind our race leader, Reese Tattersall, who has driven off into the distance in this race. And so far, Parry doing what he needs to do to hold on to this P2. Just keeping Schricker and Weidbeck at arm's length. And this is the corner of the track where you want to try and optimize your exit. See if you can catch up to that car ahead. Don't think there's much of a advantage for Schricker, but will follow through the back straight. They head into the heavy braking zone through the apex. Schricker closing in. Just carrying just a little bit more speed through the corners, but Parry using every inch of the track in order to optimize his exits. This Misano circuit is quite notorious for track limit violations and drive-through penalties because of them, so we'll be keeping an eye out as the time ticks down. I'm sure we'll be seeing at least 1 or 2 of our drivers picking up those track cut penalties. But so far, our battle for P2, keeping it clean. As now Andy Hudson has been re-caught by Kenny Kroes after his sideways moment. And Matthias Peltzer has caught on to the back of this battle. I think it's safe to say, after he's caught back up, Kenny Kroes does seem to have the pace over Andy Hudson at this stage of the race. But this Misano circuit, it's one thing to have the pace, it's another thing entirely being able to set up a move. Technical circuit that requires quite a bit of a pace difference or a sizable opportunity in order to get by. And Kroes getting a little bit out of control out over those sausage curbs. And Hudson staying ahead of Kroes and Peltzer behind. And with just 11.5 minutes remaining, Kroes needs to try and find some sort of opportunity. We've seen he's quick, but can be a little rash in his aggression. Needs to just pick a decisive opportunity as gets a good run onto The back straight is well in the slipstream of Andy Hudson. So they charge through up into braking zone at the end of the straight. You can see how much Crows is gaining on Hudson. Is able to follow closely. With Hudson just being a little shy of the apex on some of these heavily cambered corners, is allowing Crows just to close in. Yes, they come now down towards that section of track where the one real opportunity for passing is to come towards that back straight. Crow's closer than he has been. It's going to be this next corner, which is the all-important one to just try and close up and get right on the back of Hudson if he wants that opportunity. Not quite close enough, I don't think. Hasn't got a good enough drive to close up that gap. So I think Crow's going to have to stay behind for another lap. As up ahead of this battle, Smith Adams has got Busso and Balazs Fahir for company. They're pushing each other hard. Smith Adams encountering some back marker traffic that moves nicely out of the way. Actually, with Smith Adams with a reasonable gap behind him, it is Busso who finds himself under the most pressure from Balazs Fahir. Actually, these gaps ebbing and flowing. Busso is caught right back up to Smith Adams. As we've got a car off in the dirt. I don't know who that is, but they're certainly kicking up one hell of a cloud. Oh, and that's Orphanos, who is repeating his off-road antics that we saw out in Laguna Seca last time. Keeping himself out of the way though, not collected anyone at the moment. Smith Adams keeping Busso and Fahir at bay for now. But they are eager and keeping within 0.3 of a second of Smith Adams, who still holds that fastest lap of the race and is going strong still at this stage in the race. Busso now right on the back of Smith Adams, who's approaching back marker traffic. Smith Adams moves to the inside as Busso gets himself a little bit more slipstream off of that back marker. Is Busso going to try and use that overspeed of the slipstream? Try and go up the inside? Nope, not quite enough. Oh, as Busso gets a snap of overstep, has to apply a little bit of opposite lock to keep that one pointing in the right direction. As Crows makes his way past Andy Hudson. Takes the inside line, keeps Hudson out wide. And has the move made before they even approach that back straight. Kenny Crowe's up into P8. Makes his way past Andy Hudson, who now has Matthias Peltzer closing in on him. But Hudson not giving this one up. Just hanging on to the coattails of Crowe's ahead. They come round to start a new lap. Kenny Crowe's in P8. We have seen Crowe's did have the pace over Hudson, substantially so actually, was able to catch right back up even after that hairy moment we saw leading on to the back straight. So you would think he would be able to pull away given the clean air, but Andy Hudson, now that he's behind Crowe's, is keeping pace with him. As up ahead, Smith Adams has got the battling Busso and Fahey behind him. They went side by side into the previous corner. As they emerge onto the back straight, it is Smith Adams ahead of Busso GT and Balazs Fahey. So far, these three sticking together like glue. Smith Adams unable to shake the two chargers behind him. We got the yellow flags out for Grzegorz Michalak. What has happened here? Oh, big slide for Michalak off into the gravel. Loses a number of positions because of it, but carries on. Kenny Crowe's not yet been able to drive away from Andy Hudson and Matthias Peltzer. Holding on to that P8. And we can see Chris Wright just off in the distance behind them. Some 1.3 seconds back from Matthias Peltzer, but closing that gap down. As I think Kenny Crowe is just driving slightly in his mirrors at the moment. Not showing that same pace that he had earlier on in the race. It was actually last time around some 1.3 seconds slower than his fastest in this race. Not as comfortable being chased as he is chasing by the seams of things. Busso GT, as close as he has been onto the back of Smith Adams. He pulls out the slipstream, has a look, not close enough to try and push the advantage yet. Follows through the first sector for now. Scope for opportunities reducing now with only 2 minutes of this race remaining. So gonna have to try and make something happen, as that door is not going to be open for him, it doesn't look like. Smith Adams has done well so far in this race to hold on with the pressure that the two cars behind him have been providing. And he'll be happy that Balazs Fahey has managed to keep with this battle. Has meant that Busso's had to have one eye on his mirrors at all time. Means he hasn't been able to concentrate fully on the attack forward. As Andy Hudson is now super close with Kenny Crowe's, right in that slipstream, tucked right underneath that rear wing of the car ahead of him. Will Andy Hudson try something on the brakes? So he looks to the inside, not really close enough to try and put himself alongside right yet. But will be ready to pounce if Crows just provides him an opportunity. This battle not over yet. As Rhys Tattersall, our race leader, starts the final lap of this race. Smith Adams continues to lead Busso and Fahey. And Tyler Wagner losing a number of positions there. Oh, just catching a snap of oversteer. And that sees him going straight off the circuit and allows von Retberg and Steinbach through. Wagner on the final lap of the race dropping down to P16. And now rounding the final sector to finish our race is Rhys Tattersall, our championship leader, who will extend his championship lead here at Misano. As we come around the final corner, Rhys Tattersall takes the checkered flag and the race win here, and with it another 100 points to add to his tally. Following him in P2 will be Matthew Parry, followed by Roland Schricker. In P4 is Robert Weibeck, followed by Nathan Smith-Adams, who holds on to P5 ahead of Balazs Fahey, who got past Busso GT on that final lap. Kenny Crows heads off Andy Hudson for P8, with Matthias Peltzer in P10 and Chris Wright behind in P11. Crossing the line in P12 is John Sawyer, who was in P3 in the championship. We'll see quite a point slide go away from him, as von Retberg is 14th and Steinbach in P15. Tyler Wagner in P17. 18 goes to Lorenzo. Oh, right, 18 goes to Demore. 19 will be Bjorn King. Bob de Eitz, P20, with Goosens in P21. Grzegorz Michalak in P22, with Sloan in P23. P24 is Dave Van Eck, with Nitro in P25. And our final finisher on the lead lap will be Riva Molinar, bringing it home in P26. Well, there we have it, everyone. Congratulations to our podium sitters, Rhys Tattersall, Matthew Parry and Roland Schricker, providing what was a very exciting race for us here tonight at Misano. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I have been your host, Roy Weller, and do tune in again next week when the Porsche Cup, sponsored by SimQuips, will be heading to the Netherlands, to the Zandvoort circuit. Until next time, have a very lovely rest of your week, and we will jump over to watch some highlights of tonight's race, so do not go anywhere. Good night.